Hey everyone, how's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and let's resume this beginner caster guide for Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup here in 2020 with our Ogre Venom Mage version 0.25. So, first thing always, rest up. We are level 2, still on Dungeon 1, and we've got some things to explore. Alright, so this bat has appeared, it's far away, so I'm just gonna do what I often do. I could throw a javelin, but it's overkill on a bat, so I'm just going to push S to wait for it. It's now in range. It's within 3 tiles of our sting, so I'm going to just try to cast sting. We've hit it, and now it's dead. And then we'll go ahead and replenish, pick up some gold, and pick up a ring. Now, at this point, it gets me to an interesting conversation to have. This isn't really about playing a caster, although it's what I will do as pretty much any class. So last episode you saw me pick up a ring. I now have 2 rings, 2 magical rings in my inventory and a scroll. The reason I am not putting on these rings is because they could be cursed and they could be dangerous. And so I don't put on anything until I know I have a scroll of remove curse, which will take care of it. Let me take it off if I don't want to wear it. Or I can identify it with a scroll of identify. I don't know any scrolls yet. And remember, as I was talking about last time, I don't want to use a scroll until the floor is clear, unless there's some kind of emergency and I had to use it praying I got a blink or a teleport. But that's very, very unlikely on the first level of the dungeon. And so I kind of just hold all this stuff until I can get a good look at it. If you put on an item that is cursed, you cannot remove it unless you remove the curse with the scroll of remove curse. So you can put on, let's say, a cursed ring of attention, which basically tells everyone, it makes a whole bunch of noise, an alarm sound telling all the enemies where you are, and they will just surge towards you, and you cannot remove this. Or you could get a cursed ring of teleport, which would randomly, at different intervals of time, warp you next to an enemy, and those aren't things that you want to have happen. So that is why I'm not reading my scroll or putting on any of these items. Alright, now I just used all of my stings on this ooze. He is not dead, and it's going to take him a second to die. He might not die from this poison. So this is a situation you'll get into as this type of caster where you're just going to walk it backward, kiting it, and eventually you will get your magic points back. Now, just as a dungeon crawl tip, if you can move diagonally, do it, because it will cover ground faster. Every tile is like 1 movement, so just using basic geometry, you know, if you move in a diagonal line, you're gaining more ground than if you move north and south, east and west. And so if I move up here, the enemy can't hit me. If I would have moved up and then gone to the right, the enemy would have got some hits on me. So that's not what you want. Now, it says the ooze looks more healthy, which means he's no longer poisoned. You see his dot is removed. However, we now have a magic point back. So I'm going to throw another sting at him. He tried to hit us but did no damage, and he's now poisoned. So I'm going to walk him back, and just kind of let him die from the poison. Our poison magic skill is now level 3. Let's rest and recover. This is a good point though, which is that I'm going to need some kind of weapon to hold in an emergency. And I haven't found any yet. I've got these javelins, and that's it. I can punch things with my bare hands, of course, but that's not ideal. This slug can hit you from far away with his magic dart, or just his dart in general. He's a dart slug. So you kind of want to get close to him, but I don't want to fight the ball python and him at the same time. So I'm going to wind this guy around the corner. The dart slug has moved out of view. These shaded areas are out of my line of sight because this wall here is blocking them. So I'm guessing he's probably moved here and he will emerge here. I'm just pushing S. No, he emerges here instead, but that's okay. That's within range. So now we can sting him, and he dies. And let's go back before we rest, just in case that ball python wakes up and wants to come around the corner. Okay, so the ball python is now awake, but he's confused. And there's a goblin. So I'm going to kind of step back. And now the ball python, the question mark has removed. He sees us. And so I'm going to zap him, or try to zap him. That didn't work. Step back. I want to get into this hallway so that I can't have both enemies attack me at the same time. Now I'm miscasting my sting, and you can see it's still at 8% failure. And that's the unfortunate aspect, that we haven't leveled up our poison magic and our transmutations very much yet. So we're still not 100% at casting them. But luckily there, we just killed the guy in one shot. So boom, he's dead. And now we can just go ahead and hit this guy with 2. And luckily we killed him. Let's rest up and explore. Here comes a kobold, and he drank a potion and sped himself up. So he has potions of haste, which we really want to get. Hopefully he has more than just the one he used on himself. Alright, let me step over here. He's going to just throw these rocks at us. There we go. And now he's not dead. He stepped out of sight. You always have to be careful of that. Like, it looks like he just died or disappeared, but he did not. Alright, so we killed the cockroach. Wow, there's a lot of enemies here. So remember, don't go getting crazy and just trying to fight enemies because you can one-shot them. Sometimes you can't, and you have a very, very limited supply of magic points, so be careful. Woo! Level 3. Alright, so at level 3, we get to choose our first stat that we want to allocate. Strength, intelligence, or dexterity. Every 3 levels with an ogre, in most classes, you're going to get to choose a stat that you want to raise. Classes, species. And so I'm choosing intelligence. I'm a caster. You're pretty much going to choose intelligence most of the game. Maybe strength later if you want to try to wear some heavy armor. But even then, I think intelligence is the best way to go. Because an ogre just gets strength on its own. You see right there, I feel cleverer and I feel stronger. So also, I get strength. So you're going to choose intelligence every time for the rest of the game with this character. At least that's what I would do. And so, unless I desperately needed strength and I had a whole bunch of gear that had intelligence on it, and it made a big difference to choose strength, I'm going to choose intelligence. As a caster, intelligence affects your ability to cast spells and the potency of your spells. So it also affects spell hunger. All things that you want to improve on. Okay, so now that we've applied our intelligence point, another aspect of getting to level 3 is that we can now memorize 3rd level spells. So I'm going to push Shift M to go to the spell memorize screen. Remember, we have Ignite Poison and Mephitic Cloud, which we can both memorize. All of the spells in your starter spellbook are good and worth memorizing. But in my opinion, Mephitic Cloud is the one that you want to memorize here because it has area of effect implications. It can affect a big area, like a 3x3, where you can drop this cloud. And early in the game, I don't have any AoE, so it's nice to have something to hit multiple targets if I need to. And so I choose that. Now look, it's a little bit harder to cast in terms of fail rate than Ignite Poison because it actually requires 3 schools, and Conjuration and Air I have not been training at all, so it's going to be a tough one to cast, but let's still memorize it anyway. So it says memorize it, and we just push capital Y for yes, and now it's assigned to C. I am going to go in here to my skills, and I actually will keep them as is for a bit. I'd like to get Sting and Poisonous Vapors into a more reliable range. Now, notice I also got a couple more magic points when I leveled up. I got 2, and I got even more health. So I think I was at 24 before, and I got 7. I think that sounds about right, something like that. So I'm actually going to cast Poisonous Vapors on this Hobgoblin because he's so far away that my Sting can't reach him. So I'm just going to remember I assigned that macro to number 2, so I'm just going to push 2, and I miscast the spell. Now you see there in the lower right of the information panel here, it says Contam in gray, which means like I'm lightly contaminated with residual magic. If you do not want to be more contaminated than this, you can get it to white or a little bit more gray and you'll be okay, but you want to try to watch out. And so you'll notice that Poisonous Vapors, its fail rate is 14%, which is not that great, and yet it's in gray, so the penalties aren't that high. So I'm going to try to cast it again. This time we got him. Alright, and so what it does is it poisons him, and so we can just walk back, and he's going to be just taking damage from the poison. And then I'm going to just wait 1 turn and hit him with Sting. Now he has 2 dots of poison on him, and I think I can just step straight back and he should die. No, he's not dead yet, so I'm going to step to the upper left. Remember, move diagonally when you can, and then there he goes. Alright, so he's now dead. Now one thing is, he did drop his club. I would pick it up to use it, except it's a cursed -3 club. You can see that in the bottom left corner, and that's not good. So you can keep that club, buddy. Here's a +0 club. I'm just going to pick this up. I'm pushing G to interact with the ground and pick up different items. And I'm going to pick up the club by pushing A to get it to a plus sign. It turns green. And then I'm going to push W for wield. And I'm going to then equip the club. You can click the mouse on it, or you can just push H. And now I have it. And so I have this club that I can sock people with if they get close and I run out of magic. I'd like to get something better than this. Like, this guy has a dagger, and it's a +0 dagger, but that's great. That's what I actually would prefer. And so I'm going to blast him with Sting a couple times, and he dies. And then let's just get his dagger. Okay, we got it, and let's just wield it. The reason I'd prefer to wield a dagger over a club is this. If I go to inventory, and I push, it shows me all the items I'm carrying, and I can push K to select the dagger. You see here that it is base accuracy +6, which means that it's really easy to hit enemies with this weapon. And I'm not training any of my skills for weapon use, so I'm not very good at hitting. So if I need to hit something in a pinch, this gives me a higher chance of doing that. Now, granted, it's not for very much damage, but that's not what my weapon is for. My weapon is to finish people off who I've put poison on, and I just don't have any more magic, and I need to just get that last blow on them. Alright. Alright, this bat is far away. I'm just going to try to cast Vapors on him, and we got him, and he dies. And let's see, there's another bat, and I just Vaporsed him again. And let's just hit him with a Sting, or try to. Wow, alright, he dodged pretty well. There he goes, now he's dead. Okay. By the way, if you're curious as to why my character on Auto Explore is butchering the animals for food, or the enemies for food automatically, and then putting the meat packs in, those are all things that I have done with my RC file. You can look that up on your own. I might make a video about that some other time, but basically the RC file is the config file for online play, and it lets you adjust some aspects of the gameplay. I have adjusted my auto move, for example, so that it might look different for you if you're playing online, because if you go with the default RC, when you auto explore, you just basically instantly appear at the location where it stops. I like to actually see the map move like you're playing on the offline version, and so I have slowed down the delay when I'm moving or I'm sorry, increase the delay a little bit so that I can see myself moving around. I also have Auto Butcher on. I also, when I go to Auto Explore, my character will not Auto Explore until he has rested and gotten to full health. And so you can adjust these little things so that the game and the mechanics of it are more to your liking. All right, here's a Jackal. I'm just going to Poisonous Vapors him. I did get contaminated. I'm going to try it another time, and I miscast it both times. And so that's embarrassing, so we'll just step out of the way. Let me look at... Poison Vapors is what, schools? Poison and air. You know what? I'm going to just turn on air magic a little bit. It'll help me with Poison Vapors and with Mephitic Cloud. So now I'm training spellcasting, transmutations, air magic, and poison magic. This Frilled Lizard, I'm just going to walk up close to him. I'm not going to use Poison Vapors unless it's a tough enemy, because I'm not that great with it yet, and it takes a lot of my magic. And there's still a chance on this floor. Now, see, look at this. There's 3 enemies here. This is what I'm talking about. There's still a chance on this floor that a bunch of enemies come out. And I'm not that great at taking many enemies. Not only do I not have a great AoE spell that I can cast reliably, but I have very few magic points. So I'm going to try to Sting. That's pretty funny. So Sting works just like any fired projectile. It went through the bat dodged it, but it actually then hit the kobold, poisoned him, and killed him. So that's one advantage of having enemies in a row. I poison that hobgoblin and walk back, let him die from the damage over time. Ooh, we got a really good item here. You can see on the ground there's a +2 Dagger of Venom. I'm going to get that, and I'm going to wield that. Now, you might say it's overkill to have a dagger that poisons people, because that's what the Venom brand does. But as you can see, you can put multiple dots of poison on enemies, and a Venom brand is extremely potent early in the game. So now, because it's on a dagger, we have an easier time of hitting and applying that poison, stacking it on top of the poison we've already done, and finishing off enemies. So that's a great pickup. I'm going to Poison Vapors that guy, and he's dead. I'm Poison Vapors this guy. He's going to come at me. Oh, alright. Unfortunately, this kobold came around the corner. I'm just going to Sting this guy. I'm actually going to move up, Poison Vapors the kobold, walk back over here, out of the line of sight. He has died. He died off of screen for me, off of line of sight, but you can see in the lower left it says you feel a bit more experienced. That's what happens when you put a dot on an enemy and it dies when you can't see it. It'll tell you, you feel more experienced, and that's great. I'm going to Poisonous Vapors this dude, Sting him, and then just wait and he dies. I already got down Poisonous Vapors to 13% with the little bit of air magic that we've acquired. There we go. Let's just Poison Vapors, he dies. Poisonous Vapors. Oh, lots of Jackals. Okay, let's step back around the corner. This guy didn't even die from the Poison Vapors, but that's okay. Let's get them all in a line before we start casting Sting, so we can get the effect that we just got with that kobold. You can see it happened again. The first guy dodged it, but it hit the second one. So this way, we're getting a lot of bang for our buck with our Sting spells. Not anymore. Alright, we're out of MP, so I'm going to take one swing at this Jackal with our dagger, and it killed him. Alright, fantastic. So they're all dead. Let's get this guy out of here. Alright, terrific. Alright, we're done exploring, level 1. So, now that we're done exploring, I can actually read some of these scrolls. I'm going to read them all, most likely. Alright, so this is a scroll of teleport. This is another reason why you don't read scrolls without identifying them, because now I'm going to warp to some area, and if I hadn't cleared that area out, I might just land in a bunch of monsters with no escape in sight and die. I'm going to read this scroll. By the way, I'm just pushing R to read. And it's blink. I'm going to blink over here. and I'm pushing R to read, and then I'm just going to push the letter that corresponds to the spell I want to read, M. It's a scroll of fear, and N. Identify, fantastic. So now we can identify something. This is up to you what you want to identify, the jewelry or the potions. I actually prefer to identify the potions because if I get a remove curse scroll, I can use that to identify both of my jewelry pieces. But the potion I can use now. So I'm actually going to identify this potion because potions can be more impactful in a pinch. And it's a potion of curing. That is a terrific thing to discover early because potions of curing cure poison. They do heal you a little bit, but really what you want to use those for is curing confusion, poison, some of the nasty debuffs. You can just die from too much poison, and curing can take that all away and let you live. So now we know what that potion is, and every subsequent potion of curing that we see will be identified for us. So I prefer to identify potions first, but you can do what you like. If you really want to put on a ring, then that's up to you. Alright everybody, well, I think this is a great place to stop for our episode 2 of the Beginner Caster Guide. We got to level 3, we got a new spell, we cleared out Dungeon 1, we identified a potion, and we got a Dagger of Venom. So we are looking really, really nice here, and I'm excited to get further. I hope you guys are enjoying this series and learning things from it. If you are enjoying this and you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, could you please do so? I'd really appreciate it. And if you have any questions about the game, about this character, about anything Dungeon Crawl related, please post those in the comments below. I'd love to try and help out and offer my advice. Alright everyone, I hope you have an excellent evening or day. Thanks again for watching. Take care.